Hello, welcome back to Tiny Artist TV. Today's video is going to be for days 10 and 11 of the 12 days of DnDecember, and as you can see we have very few choices left, so we're down to a monk, a paladin, and a warlock. So let's go ahead and roll our character. I'm going to roll the d20, 11, a Goliath, and this class is going to be, let's see, so I need to roll a 6, a 7, or an 11. Let's see. Oh, wait, no, I saw an 11. So that's gonna be, yeah, a Goliath Warlock. So now I'll roll a d8 to see what his patron, or who his patron is. 2, a Celestial. Ambiguous. Cool. Alright, and so instead of doing a companion one in this one, I'm just going to do 2 separate drawings. So let me go ahead and highlight. Okay, so we're going to reset our shuffler and see what the next drawing is going to be. So that's going to be a 14. Ooh, a centaur. I didn't get that one last time. And they are going to be, alright, I need a 6 or 7. A 7. A centaur paladin. Ooh, that's going to be cool. Alright, well, now I'm actually invested. Let's go ahead and get started with the drawings.
In an interesting turn of events, I actually ended up during the drawing process being more excited about this Warlock Goliath than the Paladin Centaur. The Paladin Centaur still turns out okay, but once I got to the actual drawing part of it, I definitely had more fun with the Goliath. And I did draw a Goliath last year. It was a Goliath Rogue. The design for that one was kind of like meh, but this one, I don't know if you can just tell by the sketch, but I'm already like, it's just so much more like dynamic and fluid. And once I had picked her patron, the design just kind of came out a lot more easily, especially with this color palette, because when you think Goliath, you think just big, burly, not a lot of bright colors necessarily, maybe some like rich blues or reds, but not necessarily pink. And so this is very much, my thought process behind the design was magical girl meets gladiator. And so that definitely comes through, and again, it's just fun to kind of do this big, strong, hot pink Goliath Warlock. So her patron, I decided to make her patron Ishtar or Easter. The pronunciation's not on there, but there's a couple different ways to say it. But as far as the D&D version of her goes, she is the goddess of love and war. So obviously the love aspect makes sense with all of the pink that I have to work with here. And then as far as war, a Goliath being a warlock, normally when you think of a warlock, they kind of fall into the glass cannon category of characters, whereas they are very strong when it comes to spell casting, but have no hit points. So this particular character, she is not a glass cannon. She's just a cannon, or more so a warhammer, if you will. And even though Ishtar's favored weapon is a flail, I had already drawn the hammer and just felt like, again, with the pose, the weight of everything, the flail would have been too lightweight of a weapon, and I didn't feel like redrawing this perfectly drawn hammer here. So there are a couple other elements that I incorporate, like her favorite animal or her symbol is a lion. And even though her color is like sapphire, I didn't have any sapphire to work with. So I incorporate, or at least try to incorporate, as much of some of the other elements of Ishtar as possible for this particular character. So now I'm getting started on my Centaur Paladin, and I did make an annotation at the beginning of the video, and when I had said that I hadn't drawn one, I probably didn't remember it because it was literally on the very first day of the 12 days of DnDecember. It was a Centaur Necromancer, and the pose is a little similar. There's only so many ways you can draw a charging centaur without them looking like similar, and I didn't want to draw her just standing stalwart because the last paladin that I did, it was a dragonborn paladin. It just kind of has this stalwart head up, chest out, and I'm pushing myself to do more actiony poses, just a good way to practice. So for this paladin, I kind of phone it in. After I got the pose down, like, I liked the pose, but the character itself, I felt was kind of like, it could be better, but I'm also like, I don't want to work on it anymore. So what I do, I make myself work on it until I like it. So I get all of my flats in, and then I do all of my, like, rudimentary shading or whatever, and then I basically just try to work in as many details as possible to make this feel more like a wild paladin character, because right now there's not a lot of elements that say paladin. This centaur could just be any sort of ranger or centurion or just a classic fighter. There's nothing that really speaks paladin per se, and so I decided to make this centaur a paladin of Lathander, and so I add in some elements that kind of like I add a sun to the shield later, and I add some very strong sunlight. Just it really was kind of a throwaway, I'm not gonna lie. But again, this was number 11 out of 12. I've been working on this for over the whole project a week and a half, and so I just wanted this to look good enough, and that does kind of come across. Not everything is going to be a banger, and there was also no reason for me to make this into a banger because realistically these were just supposed to be colored sketches. I don't know why I put backgrounds on like 80% of these when I literally told myself, yeah, I'm just gonna color it, that's fine. And then because of the rogue, and because for some reason the rogue I decided just needed a background, I just continued with that theme. So for these two, I simplify everything. You can see that there's like some light environment, but it's basically full color character on a white space, and that's okay, especially for a series like this where it is more character focused and not full-blown illustration. So now you can see I'm adding on my extra layers of shading and detail. Oh, that was the other thing. I guess you would still call them guards, even though they're on her feet, they're not on her arms. But I do add sun emblems onto the guards, as well as you can see the shield. It's this blazing, kind of like a solar flare type. Not the lighting effect itself, but the look of it. It's like if you look up solar flare, how the rays are just kind of whirling and wild. So I kind of wanted to go with that. And again, just to give the picture overall a little more energy, because when I was working on this, I was very low energy. But I eventually did get to a point where I started liking it, and it wasn't until about this point here where I got everything nice and more fully rendered. Not so rendered that it looks super painterly, but rendered enough that I can look at it and not worry myself with overworking it any more than I already have. So that concludes today's video, days 10 and 11 for the 12 days of DnDecember. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and again, hope you've been continuing to enjoy this series. All the previous videos are in a playlist, or if you want to just go back and watch your favorite one, feel free to do that. Boost me in the algorithm, please. But in the meantime, I will see you guys for the final video, day 12 of the 12 days of DnDecember. Until then, have a weird day.